Welcome to the Norman Regional Health System Fox 25 pregame show. Here are your hosts, Myron Patton, Curtis Fitzpatrick, and Danielle Dwyer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Texas State Fair. Nothing symbolizes the Texas State Fair as much as Big Tex. That and the Cotton Bowl, where once again Oklahoma and Texas will play their storied rivalry, continue what's been going on for many, many years. A game that's not just about football, Curtis, it's about state bragging rights and state pride.
Do we need to listen to this for a second?
I think some people are juiced up, ready for the game. We're 2 hours away, but they're ready already.
I didn't quite hear your question. I think it was something about OU, Texas, and pride and all that stuff. Listen, they're showing off the pride. Whether they're from Oklahoma or not, they're showing off Oklahoma pride. But yeah, for fans, it'll be a year's worth of bragging rights, unless they meet in the Big 12 championship game, and then they could play again.
Yeah, it's one of those games because they have added the Big 12 championship game. They met twice last year, but it is a game where whoever wins today takes control, at least for right now, the Big 12 conference.
Yeah, and listen, I don't think if OU loses this game, I mean, it would be a long shot, but I don't think that rules them out of a playoff spot. Last year, they lost this game, ended up in the playoff. It's happened before. And for Texas, they have one loss. That's not going to knock them out of the playoff race, so this is a big game for those circumstances as well as far as the playoff. But this game, no matter what the record is, Myron, and I know this ranking is 3 versus 11, it really doesn't matter to fans of Oklahoma and Texas. This game means so much. It's my favorite sporting event I've ever been to, and I've been to, this will be my 26th game. I know you've been to a lot more than that. But this game always pays off. No matter how good the teams are, the atmosphere, this behind us right now, the food, the fair, and the game inside the stadium, it's always really, really cool. And
what's special about the game is I can remember as a kid growing up, there was always something connected to it before the game, whether it was the alleged spying incidents of the 70s. There was a writer, Doug Waddell, used to work for the Dallas Morning News, and he always came up with some kind of story involving something Oklahoma was doing. This year, it is at least trying to eliminate this, the horns down, which the players can't do for Oklahoma. But I got to believe folks like that are behind us in the stands, we're going to see this a lot today.
Horns down, anybody? Yeah, right there. Okay, yeah. No, I talked to some people that are they off the record, went and are part of the Spirit Squad.
Yeah.
You know, they were told this weekend by the school not to do it. There will be some people doing it that maybe shouldn't be doing it. And I would believe, Myron, the players, if they feel comfortably ahead, like in the Big 12 championship game, Grant Calcaterra caught a touchdown last year, horns down.
He spiked the ball, too.
He spiked the ball, so that's the ultimate horns down. I believe there will be plenty of that going on today.
Well, and Lincoln Riley has instructed his players not to do it. And I understand that because you don't want an official giving you a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty that may be a little bit overzealous or something like that. But still, emotions get going. Things kind of get, you don't know what might get out of hand. Now, this is, you're seeing us, but we've got an entire crew down here to bring you coverage of this game. Danielle Dwyer is back in studio getting set to, she'll be joining us a little bit later on. We got Wendy Suarez, who's out and about. We got Malcolm Tubbs, who's at the Henderson Tap House. We got a full cast of characters who are out and about. Let's go to Wendy and see what she's got for us. Wendy?
Myron and Curtis, okay, the anticipation is really mounting out here behind the Cotton Bowl as we're waiting any minute now for those buses to roll in, and we can see our Oklahoma Sooners get off the bus. The fans are gathered. You see tons of security waiting. I'll tell you, the Longhorns already had their moment about 20 minutes ago. All their charter buses rolled in. The crowds went wild. We saw a lot of burnt orange. So we're waiting for our turn. It's going to be quite a sight out here. Like you mentioned, Curtis, there's nothing like the spirit and the mood of this game, and we're already getting a taste of that hours before kickoff with the hundreds of fans out here. Hearing a lot of Boomer Sooner, hearing a lot of Texas cheers. The fans are getting at it, but it is so much fun. Now, I know, let's see, we got Malcolm out too. He is at a watch party at Henderson Tap House with some Sooner fans that aren't here at the Cotton Bowl, but I know they're having a great time too. Malcolm, how's it going where you are?
Yeah, so Wendy, thanks. Yeah, we're hanging out here at Henderson Tap House. Now, if you don't have tickets to the game, this is probably the next best place to come and check out the game, take in the vibes, and really bring in that Red River rivalry spirit. So this is pretty much the bar is split down the middle. Texas fans on one side, Sooner fans on the other, and it's going to be packed. Every minute that goes by, more and more Sooner fans come in, more and more Longhorn fans come in, and the food is great. The drinks are flowing nice, and it's only 9 a.m. and they're already going strong. So this place is definitely going to pack out the closer we get to kickoff, but it's cool to really get the chance to take in the vibe, the atmosphere, talk to a lot of the Sooner fans who are here and made that drive down I-35 South to really come and take in the sights and sounds and everything that goes into Red River Rivalry the week. So we got some Longhorn fans over here, and they're repping strong. They got their good pizza here at Henderson Tap House, and then a lot of Sooner fans are here as well. So it's funny, I talked to a Sooner fan, and he said he actually graduated from Texas, but his kids go to OU, so he's got a Texas shirt under and an OU pullover. So it's one of those type of feels when you come out here to Henderson Tap House. Whole lot of fun, great drinks, great food, great vibe, and we're going to be here all game long, so you got to stay tuned for that. But Curtis, Myron, what you guys got?
Well, getting ready for a big game, and you mentioned earlier, Curtis, about they could play twice, and some people may say, well, does this take a little bit of prestige from right here in the Cotton Bowl? No, it does not. The venue itself, the 50-50, is something that you can't really replicate anywhere else, I don't think. I'd like to see the game here stay forever. But if you need a monetary symbol to let you know how big the game is when it's right here, they tell me the average ticket price going on the secondary market, $542 is the average price to get into this game today. So yes, it is still a special meeting when they played here in the Cotton Bowl the second Saturday of October.
Yeah, listen, I was skeptical about the Big 12 championship game and the ramifications of that game as it pertains to this game today. But you're right, it hasn't cost this state fair, the game, anything. I mean, it goes on bigger and better than ever. And you're right, Myron. I was just talking to some people that know a little bit about the ticket industry yesterday, and they said they can't remember an OU Texas game with this much demand. And you mentioned the ticket prices, and that's amazing to me because in the early 2000s and into the late 2000s, we had some blockbuster games. You thought those ticket prices would have been bigger. Today, I think it's the highest priced ticket on the open market that you can find for OU Texas.
There's a reason we do what we do, folks. There's a reason. We're going to hit a break. We're just getting started, folks. Stick around. We got more of our pregame show right after a short break.
I'm here with Dr. Richard Kirkpatrick, an orthopedic surgeon, and today we want to know all about ACLs.
Okay.
They hurt. But what exactly is an ACL injury?
So an ACL, the ACL is a kind of the initials for anterior cruciate ligament. The anterior cruciate ligament's one of the two main ligaments in the middle portion of your knee. Makes a cross with the other ligament called the PCL, the posterior cruciate ligament, and its primary responsibility is keeping the shin bone from moving forward on the thigh bone. And those ligaments are under a lot of stress during sports activities or cutting and jumping, and so it's prone to potential injury during those activities.
What are some of the symptoms, or what would you feel if you heard it?
Well, most folks will talk about having a feeling of a pop or a give or their knee giving way on them. They typically have a significant amount of pain initially, with a lot of swelling initially after the injury, and inability to continue with their sport, inability really to ambulate or walk without significant discomfort too.
And it can happen a lot to women. Why is that?
Correct. In fact, depending on what statistics you look at, women are about 3 times more likely to have an ACL injury in comparable sports, like sports that both men and women participate in, such as soccer or basketball. Women anatomy is different, hormone levels are different, the way that they tend to land during jumps is much different compared to men when you study them, and so they tend to have just a higher incidence of ACL injuries, unfortunately.
And often we hear if you tear your ACL, you're out for the season. What is the recovery like?
Well, the recovery, typically years ago, we didn't reconstruct ACLs routinely, and so I do a fair number of joint replacements in my practice. A large number of those patients have an ACL deficient knee when we replace their knee. So when ACL injuries occur, the problem with that inability to keep stability of your knee leads to significant troubles. And so to reconstruct the ACL, we can't repair the ligament that's been torn. We have to replace it with something, so we can use tissue from that patient or tissue that's been donated and make a new ACL. It takes time for for that tissue to heal in, and it's about a 6-month that minimum process for that healing process to occur of that new ligament, regardless of the rehab of the muscles around the knee and that kind of thing. And so there's a significant period of time where you have to allow that ligament to heal. Otherwise, if you put it under that same load again, it's more likely to rupture early if we don't wait long enough.
Okay, so it sounds like patience is key, but we are in good hands.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
No
we
problem.
appreciate
Thank you very much for having me.
Norman Regional Sports Medicine is located at 901 North Porter Avenue in Norman. You can call them at 405-515-5000. Go online at normanregional.com and also find them on social media at Norman Regional.
All right, welcome back. You caught us having a little bite to eat. That's one of the great things about the State Fair. They've got food everywhere. I tried some last night. This is a stuffed taco from Ruth's that's really good. It's the Breakfast of Champions. Curtis, you got some good stuff there as well.
Fernie's burnt-in tacos, and it looks like they made the thing and they put it in a fryer. And it's really never attractive eating on the air, but
yeah,
I might do it anyway.
It's pretty good stuff. You know, we were out here pretty early this morning, and the food places were open. Oh, this is good. This is really good. So this is all part of the Texas State Fair, and of course, OU Texas.
Well, 2 corn dogs and a soft drink. That's what I hit up on my way into the stadium. I don't know what your game day routine is, but you have to get the corn dog, the Fletcher's corn dog, when you come to the fair.
Mustard. This stuff talking about ketchup. Come on, people. It's got to be mustard.
My 6-year-old can get away with it. An adult, grown men and women, no ketchup on a corn dog.
Yeah, it's as much a part of this the game as the game itself. And of course, Danielle Dwyer is back in the studio with us as well. And you know, Danielle, you're an Ohio native, but you know, you grew up watching this football game and everything that it means. And of course, when you're looking at Oklahoma, there's been a lot of talk about their defense and what it would be able to do today and kind of prove themselves that they are improved over last season.
Yeah, Myron, it's really great. I love rivalry week, no matter who the two teams are. It's always fun growing up watching those rivalry games and then being able to cover them as well. But talking about the Sooners defense, what's really impressed me so far this year is they're 5th ranked in the nation for 3rd down in defense. But when you look at Texas, as far as offense go, they're 2nd in the country in 3rd down conversions. So I think that's going to be kind of the biggest key matchup today, is just to see how well that Oklahoma defense does in those 3rd down situations. They've done so good so far, but it's very interesting to see. And I'm curious how their speed D will look against, not that they haven't really played people before, but this is their biggest test to date of this season so far. So I think it's going to be really interesting just to see what all they can actually do when they're really put to the test. And this game right here today will be their biggest test so far.
Well, Curtis, you know, this game every year is about somebody revenge or redeeming themselves. The OU defense the last couple of years, in particular the college football playoffs, if they'd had just a little bit better defense, they would at least play for a national championship. Right here last year, they needed one more stop to get the ball back and complete that big comeback that they had, but they couldn't get it done. So guys like Kenneth Murray, who've been a starter for 3 years, some of those other guys, Kenneth Mann, this is a big moment for them, a big game for them.
Well, it was a year ago, the game that changed everything with OU football. The defense collapsed during the season, and they took it to another level in the Texas game. And when you don't perform on the biggest stage, well, then, you know, people want answers, and they fired Mike Stoops right after that. He agreed to resign. They made it, like you said, to the college football playoff, but then you bring in Alex Grinch specifically to take care of this game.
Yeah.
Everything else kind of takes care of itself when you're in this conference, but when you play Texas, and that's always the biggest game in your schedule, you have to do it in this game. So this is by far the biggest test that OU's defense will have gone up against, Danielle, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting just to see what Alex Grinch can do now in this game. I'm sure there's some things that he's changed a little. I know they said they kept their routine the same this week, but there had to be a little different energy coming from him and the rest of the guys going into this game, knowing what's at stake, knowing the rivalry, and knowing what happened to them last year. I mean, they went into the fourth quarter down 21 points.
Yeah, for sure, and made the big comeback. And defensively, the numbers are better. I mean, give them 19 points per game, but the competition is not what it's been that they'll face today. Sam Ehlinger's a really good quarterback. He's played awfully well against Oklahoma in 3 games. I don't know if people really kind of put that together, but I was looking at his stats: 941 yards passing in 3 games, 6 touchdown passes, another 5 rushing, only 1 interception. They lost to LSU earlier this season, Texas, but in that game, 401 yards passing, 4 TD passes, 1 rushing. So he's performed in big games, and of course, this is another big game that Oklahoma's going to have to deal with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking care of the football. Remember early in his career, Myron, he was mistake prone. Remember the game against Oklahoma State? He threw the pick in the end zone that would have won the game, ended up winning the game for Oklahoma State. And he would have some costly turnovers. He did it last year against Maryland, but really this year he is taking care of the football. And as you said, he's not only played, but he's won big games, including last year here at the OU Texas game, the Sugar Bowl against Georgia. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, if you're comparing quarterbacks, he has played in some major games as well. But this is a little bit different, as we'll talk about for him. But listen, Sam Ehlinger is going to give this defense a test, by far the biggest test OU has seen this year.
In that secondary, Danielle, we'll get more into this a little bit later on. Texas secondary, they're missing three starters. And, of course, this will be a lot of talk about Hurts versus Ehlinger, but there's going to be some other elements that that will have to be dealt with in this game today.
Yeah, if the Sooners offense can really pick apart some good game calling, some good planning there, play calling, to really break down that defense and take advantage of those 3 guys being out, I think they're in a really great spot to set themselves up for success. I mean, as Curtis mentioned, we'll get into this later, but Jalen Hurts is no stranger to the big stage. So he's going to come out ready to go, as we've seen him so far this season. So it'll be interesting just to see what the Sooners can do with those 3 guys going out and see how they could use that to their advantage.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we're going to hit a break, but coming up on the other side, we're going to talk with a former Oklahoma quarterback who knows what it's all about playing in this big game. That'd be Charles Thompson. He is a Sooner-born, Sooner-bred, but I'll tell you what, he's got some conflicts today. We'll talk to him about that and more right after a short break. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's talk some quarterbacks. We're talking Sam Ehlinger and Jalen Hurts. To my left here is Charles Thompson, of course, former one of Barry Switzer's wishbone options back in the day. Probably carries the moniker of the fastest wishbone quarterback history. Of course, now talk show host at CBS Sports Radio 105.3 on the FM dial. Appreciate you coming on, Charles.
I'm glad you guys have me on. Glad to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here, and it's always good to get a perspective of a guy who actually played in the game. And, of course, you're from Lawton. You're an Oklahoma guy. And, just the emotions that go in playing a game like this.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a very big week. I said waking up Monday morning, it's almost like me getting prepared to play once again in 1987 in this Cotton Bowl matchup. You know, it's one of those highlighted things in the year. You know, when you look at it as a former player, when you're going through that tenure and you're there playing, you're at the University of Oklahoma, everything's earmarked. People always talked about the rivalry. Although they was in the Southwest Conference back then, it was still a very big game for bragging rights, which I always talked about. You got to be able to go in the Cotton Bowl and win to continue to get that talent for us to compete for national championships year in and year out. So for us, it was marked as a climactic point in our season. And we got to Texas week. We hated, Myron, and we hated the week of preparation because Switzer, guys, he always played the fight song all week. And I asked him one day, I said, Switzer, Coach, why you keep playing this song? And he said, because I don't want to hear it in Heron Times on Saturday. So if you guys get tired of hearing it during the week, you'll make sure we don't hear it on Saturday.
All right, Charles, as Myron talked about, this could be a very unique day for you today.
Absolutely.
For people that don't know, Charles, former OU quarterback, has a son who happens to be a quarterback at Texas. And he's right now the backup quarterback. So if something happens to Sam Ehlinger, here he goes.
You know, you're absolutely correct. When I was asked the question the other day, hey, what happens if Sam Ehlinger goes out of the game? I said, well, that would be sort of a climactic moment for me, to say the least. And it's hard sometimes, guys, to, you know, obviously my whole entire life I've been a guy who's been bleeding crimson and cream from the very first time that I was, you know, I mean, beginning to watch OU football. And so I can never say never, because you never know what'll happen. I didn't realize, never think that I'd have a son, obviously on the other side of this divided line in the Red River Showdown. But you got to support and love your son. And so if he was to ever get in the game, there's no doubt who I'll be rooting for. It's certainly Casey Thompson, number 8.
You guys talked this week, and you did it stay away from the game? What was this week like for you?
Well, you know, I sent him a video the other morning, Curtis and Myron, about just that, you know, never knowing your opportunity to come. I sent him the video, and it was funny. I was being interviewed after the game. It was a game, my first start, and all I talked about, although I scored 3 touchdowns and threw for 1, I could only talk about waiting for that opportunity and how anxious I was and how frustrated it was to wait and sit on the sidelines for the whole year, because anyone who's about playing the game, who's a competitor, he doesn't want to sit on the sideline and watch, no matter who you are. And so it's about getting an opportunity. And then I sent him the film of me taking over for Jamel Holloway, and it showed the video of when Coach Don and a guy on the headset and told me Jamel Holloway had tore his ACL, and I now was a starting quarterback, and it showed me taking snaps on the sideline. And I can remember very vividly watching the video and remember the feeling that I had, kind of numb. I didn't know. It's like, man, you ask for something, you don't know what it's going to be like when you actually get it. It's like, for a moment there, you kind of froze up and you think, man, all the years I sat in my bedroom envisioning myself being the starting quarterback for the University of Oklahoma and getting this opportunity now, it was an unbelievable experience. It could happen in a blink, is what I always tell them. You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And that's really the mindset I want Casey to roll in and out every time he gets on that uniform, gets prepared to play.
Now, Charles, we can see your hats. When we take the top shot of you, we can see your hat. It's a very unique hat. Can you explain what it means and symbolizes? Obviously, we're talking about the conflict you have today.
Well, I mean, it's obviously for me, I honestly, when I went down and Coach Herman was recruiting Casey, I always said, listen, I'll stay neutral in the game. I'll wear black. That's why you see me in black. And I said that'd be a tough time for ever see me wearing the burnt orange. So I'll wear the black and represent, and I wear the number 8, obviously not the Longhorn. It's about my son Casey. So on my hat, I have certainly my number in the middle, which is number 6, is what I wore in this rivalry. My oldest son, Kendall Thompson, who was number 1 here at the University of Oklahoma, he wore that number, and then, of course, Casey in the burnt orange, number 8. So the 168 is a combination of the Thompson legacy, who all have played and been a part of this rivalry.
And in case anybody's wondering, he'll be in the press box. He will not be sitting on the Texas sideline because he's a media member now.
Yeah, that's right. And it's hard sometimes. It's funny, Myron. Even watching the game as a media, it's been a little bit of a transition to me, because I watch the game always as a quarterback. And sometimes I'm always, thinking ahead. This is what should happen. Or I'm flinching a little bit and trying to anticipate and say, oh, I see somebody coming open, and you want to blurt out. And, of course, you guys all know in the media section, you
can't talk.
You got to be quiet. You're not supposed to have any emotion at all. So it's been tough, but I've learned to adapt a little bit.
All right, man. We're going to hit a break. Charles is going to go back and do his radio duties. We'll come back on the other side right after this.
Just kidding, fellas. I'm a good listener.
All right, welcome back. It's not a big OU football game unless Jim Ross, also known as JR, is in the house. You see him on the sidelines. I think you're helping either Bob Stoops or now Lincoln Riley call plays. You're down there.
Well, we don't get that out there, but there may be something to that. Rumor and innuendo has it.
Hey, let me ask you something. Are you going to do upside-down horns, or is that off limits to sideline people too?
I think it's off limits. So, to respect,
when have you ever followed the rules?
Not lately, but I guess I just started at my late age. I probably will refrain from it today a little bit, just simply out of respect to the university and what Lincoln wants.
Well, how are you feeling about the game today?
I don't have this great, easy feeling. Everything's cool, and because I don't know how good Oklahoma is yet. We haven't played anybody really significant. Texas has. I think the spread is a little bit fat, and I think that we win, but I don't think it's going to be by maybe 7-8 points, less than the spread. It's my feeling. I hope I'm wrong, dead wrong.
Well, I'm kind of like you, and we'll get our predictions later on. But what have you seen? You've seen a lot of Oklahoma football. What have you seen out of this defense? Are they better? How much better are they? You can't say you're not sure, I guess. But what have you seen out of those guys?
I think they're better, Myron, because they tackle better. There's fundamental things that they do. They get lined up. They don't seem to be a state of confusion in the pre-snap. I thought that's been an issue for us the last few years of the indecisions at the playmaking time. They tackle better. There are a lot of guys usually around the ball. we haven't seen too many players running free and just playing pitch and catch with them. So I like the fact that defense is better. But I think, Curtis, I think we're just better tacklers, and it seems like we're playing more position savvy. Better coached, yes. Better attitude, without a doubt.
What do you like about Jalen Hurts that you've seen?
Oh, God, what is there not to like about it? I should be his valet, and I'd probably lose about 50 pounds and get ripped. I was standing behind him at the tech game on the sideline, and it was almost like a deja vu moment for me. From behind, with his arms, his vascular definition, triceps, he looked like Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
He's a freak, man.
Yeah, he is.
People don't get how this guy's Jim Brown size. Figure that out, some of you old times. You kids don't know who that is, and you can Google it. He was a hell of a player at one time in Cleveland, believe it or not. But he looks like Adrian. He's fit, he's strong, he's big, and we were so lucky to get him. I mean, here's the deal. If we weren't, think of where we'd be right now. Not that Mordecai and Rattler aren't good, but they're not this. They haven't played national championship games. This kid's a leader, and he's a man among men, no doubt about it.
Well, and you mentioned that this is obviously will be different for him, but he's played in 3 Iron Bowls, Alabama, Auburn, and 6 college football playoff games.
Yeah.
The experience is he's got that.
Huge, and it's got to be infectious to his teammates. Those younger guys we have a lot of them looking to him for leadership, to lead by example. And so we only got a great quarterback. We got a great leader out of this deal. So I'm just curious now who's the next great quarterback that's going to transfer and win the Heisman.
You're always on the look for future prospects for wrestling. I mean, anybody on OU's team that you've been scouting?
They got some big eaters over there that look pretty promising. It could be the next Kamala Ugandan giant or something, maybe. I'm not sure. It's an interesting vocation for some of these cats.
Yeah.
You know, my new company, AEW, we're on the air Wednesday nights on TNT now, live. And we just signed Jake Hager, who played and wrestled at OU, from Perry. I said, you'll always be the second toughest guy in Perry. Danny Hodge will always be number 1.
Crushing an apple with his hand.
Yeah. Or your wrist. Or your nose. Or
anything he grabs.
Whatever he grabs, he owns.
Yeah. Jay, I appreciate you stopping by, man.
You bet, guys. Good luck today. Have
All
fun.
right. Hey, let's check in with Wendy Suarez.
Hey, Curtis and Myron. I kind of like to think of this as backstage of the Cotton Bowl because we're getting to see all the comings and goings, all the people arriving, whether it's the Spirit Squads, the NROTC, and we actually just saw the Texas band come through. And I got to tell you, that is a big group, and nothing quite gets you ready for a football game like the sounds of a marching band. Too bad it was just, the burnt orange and not the pride of Oklahoma. That's the one I would like to see. We still got a lot of fans lining up behind the gate here, a lot of security blocking this area off as more people come through. So hoping to see more activity. Wish I had something to show you right now, but we're kind of in a lull of activity, guys. Myron and Curtis.
All right, thanks, Wendy. She's out and about. Of course, like I said, there's a lot going on here at the fairgrounds, also at the Henderson Tap House. That's where Malcolm Tubbs is. Malcolm, what do you got going on?
Yeah, what's up, Myron? Hey, Curtis. So hanging out here at Henderson Tap House. The vibe is going strong right now. The Sooner fans are packing the house. We got Texas fans in the building as well. But this is an official watch party site for Sooner fans. And this is the place to be if you're not at the game, of course. Now, of course, you see they got the drinks flowing. They got pizza coming out of the oven. And it's only 9:30 a.m. They're going strong already. You can see a lot of crimson and cream in the building right here. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Okay, so real quick before I do anything else, I want to try it real quick. Here we go. Boomer! Just like that. You really can't go wrong. Let me talk to a few fans over here. Y'all taking selfies. Y'all look like y'all having a good time.
We're having a great time.
Yeah, so are y'all students? Y'all make the drive up? What happened?
So I'm an alumni, but Boomer Sooner.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now, I can't do it on the news, but y'all can do it, though, right? You got the horns down all day?
Yeah. Horns down, baby!
All right, and then last question. Any predictions for the game? What y'all thinking?
Yeah, so I think OU's going to cover. Right now they're at 11. The line's moved a little bit, but I think it's going to be like a 48 to like 28 kind of thing.
Okay.
OU's going to come out hot.
There we go. I like it. So we're feeling good here at Henderson Tap House. You really can't go wrong with the vibe. It's all in good fun. And, if you're not watching a game at the game, this is it. Henderson Tap House. Baz, back to you. This is great. I love it. This is awesome.
All right, thanks, Malcolm. Folks are always geared up for the contest and always predicting big blowout scores.
Never fails. I like the way they'll cover the spread. We're in a new age, Myron.
Yes, we are. Hey, we're going to hit a break. We got more to go. Stick around.
Welcome back to our Red River Showdown pregame show. You're taking a live look in Dallas at the State Fair ahead of the Sooners and Longhorns going head-to-head in this one. Should be an exciting matchup this afternoon, and we have team coverage as we've been showing you so far this morning. Lots going on. Number 6 Oklahoma going up against number 11 Texas. Hundreds of thousands of people dawning on the Lone Star State, and for some, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see this game. For others, it's a celebration, and for one local Norman woman, she's celebrating a unique birthday at the Cotton Bowl.
For 17 years, Jay French dealt with diabetes.
Shots every day, having to monitor my blood sugar, make sure that I was watching what I ate.
Due to complications with her diabetes, Jay had to have eye surgery. And shortly after, another surprise happened.
Found out that I was pregnant. So they were very concerned about the pregnancy because I had had some issues with my diabetes, and they didn't really think that I was going to be able to carry the baby.
Those concerns soon became Jay's reality. The combination of her diabetes and the pregnancy led Jay to develop HELP syndrome.
I started out just thinking, okay, this is going to be a difficult pregnancy. I'm going to have to be really careful, and then it turned into a very dangerous situation very fast.
Jay delivered her baby at 25 weeks. Kaylee weighed just 18 ounces. And while there were concerns about her daughter's life, Jay's life was the one in jeopardy.
When they told me when I was pregnant that my kidney function was starting to decline, I truly thought, maybe stupidly, I thought this will all be resolved when I'm not pregnant anymore. And it never occurred to me, and the doctors never actually said to me, okay, now this might be what we're looking at down the line.
Jay's kidney function didn't get better after delivery. She was put on dialysis and the transplant list.
I was completely shocked. I didn't ever think that that would be something that I would face, and I didn't really even think about that being an option for me.
Jay needed a new kidney and pancreas. She was in her 20s, a new mom, and her body was wearing out.
I was so hoping every day that someone would help me because I wanted to be healthy, and I had a little girl, and that was my, I think, biggest fear was not dying, but was leaving her without a mom.
On October 12th, 2001, Jay's prayers were answered.
I woke up from the transplant and the doctor said, you don't have diabetes anymore and your kidney is functioning perfectly. No more dialysis, no more shots, you're fine. And I was just thinking, oh wow. I went from I could die to you're fine.
Since Jay's transplant surgery, she met and married the love of her life, had 3 children, and shared in plenty of memories with her family. And not a day goes by she doesn't feel grateful.
It's pretty amazing to me that after 18 years, I still feel this good, and still every single day, I'm just so grateful for my life.
Some of the highlights since her surgery has been meeting her donor's family, riding on the Donate Life float in the Rose Bowl parade, and watching her beloved Sooners all these years, especially when they played Texas.
So it always falls somewhere around my transplant birthday. I call it a birthday, not an anniversary, because it was a rebirth for me. So it's a birthday, and the game always falls somewhere around there.
Jay grew up watching OU football with her dad.
Watching Barry Switzer coach and the Sooner Magic, being down and then coming back and winning the game. Those were the most magical moments of football for me.
She has her own woman cave full of crimson and cream.
Denny and I met Samaje Pirine.
And today, thanks to a friend, she and her husband Denny will be inside the Cotton Bowl watching the game in person 18 years to the day of her transplant surgery.
I can't imagine a better place to be celebrating my life than sitting watching my football team kick the poo out of Texas.
And rightfully so. Next to faith, family, and friends, it was football that got her through.
I think also there can be a parallel drawn between the determination, the never quit attitude of football, and having to fight for your life, because I think that being strong and determined, being unwilling to give in and being unwilling to quit is what got me to the point that I was able to get a transplant and what has gotten me through the last 18 years.
And every day, every experience, and every memory she's had in the last 18 years, she does it with her donor Patrick in mind. Because if it wasn't for him being willing to be a donor, the last 18 years wouldn't have been possible.
If you ever see my social media accounts, I often say that my gratitude comes out my eyes because sometimes I just kind of stop and go, oh, wow. I am healthy and surrounded by this amazing life only because someone saved my life. And that's important to me, for them to see my gratitude and to see that I'm living my life well and using my gifts, hopefully the way that he would want.
Now, Jay says she stays in contact with Patrick's family. Her daughter, Kaylee, is 21 now and in college. And for what it's worth, the last time Jay was in the stands for the OU-Texas game, the Sooners came away victorious. So we'll see if her luck continues today. Pretty incredible, guys.
It's a heck of a story, Danielle. That is a great story, and this game carries a lot of special memories for a lot of people for different reasons. Obviously, she's got a major reason to commemorate this game.
Yeah, I mean, people always remember special moments like their first OU-Texas game, but for her, yeah, this takes it to another level, yeah.
Doesn't get any bigger than that. All right, we're going to hit a break. Folks, stay right with us. We got more of our pregame show right after a short break. Welcome back. As fans are out and about, the sun's coming out, so it's going to be that 68 degrees people were talking about. We saw a lady with horns down T-shirts, so the fans definitely going to bring that to the game today.
Yeah, when you say horns down, the words horns down, because they're afraid of doing the gesture. Now you're going to see it everywhere. Yeah. That will never die, Myron. I mean, that will never ever die in this rivalry.
Speaking of that, you want to pay attention to this next story. Ex-players like Charles Thompson, he's an Oklahoman who played in this game. But for the Texas guys who played in this game, it is also a special contest, especially when you can make big plays to help you to a Sooner win.
Josh Norman spent his college football days making big plays in some of Oklahoma's biggest games. Nebraska 2000 comes to mind, when Norman made more than a couple plays during the Sooners' run to the school's 7th national title. They are all members of a glorious season, but the Midland, Texas native knows there's nothing like OU Texas.
I'm going to be real petty right now, so I'm going to answer this question like this the whole time. It's an amazing game. It really is. Just being able to be at the fair and, when you're pulling in through the crowd and all of that, when you're playing in the game, depending on what end the offense is on, the defense is on, it's an amazing thing.
Whether we're talking about teams meeting in modern times or in the first ever meeting in 1900, when Oklahoma was still a territory, the game carries special meaning, especially for those who came north of the Red River to play.
I remember my freshman year playing in that game, and me, Curtis Fagan, and a couple of other guys who were recruited from Texas were sitting down on the bench, and Texas fans were calling us traitors. But way back when we started getting players from Texas, that's what makes it such a big deal. I believe that's part of the reason that the rivalry is so special, is because you have so many guys on OU's roster from Texas. They hate that, and people always ask me, why'd you leave Texas? Well, shoot, I wanted to go win a championship, so I left to go get a championship at Championship U.
Norman was recruited to OU by John Blake, but his best days occurred under Bob Stoops. So it's easy to understand his favorite OU Texas meeting.
It was the year that we won 63-14. That was an amazing experience, just being able to just to play lights out like we did, honestly. My senior year was a special game as well, just because it was a hard-fought victory. Roy made an amazing play. That defense was just, it was an unbelievable defense that we had that year. Offense struggled a little bit, but 63-14 is pretty sweet, and I cherish that day.
Josh Norman, heck of a play out of Midland, Texas. passes, and yeah, I got a kick out of doing the whole thing. He was making sure he's going to be doing horns down today, no doubt.
My favorite memory of Josh Norman, Myron, I remember vividly after OU won the national championship in 2000. Josh Norman, who you brought up, had gone through the Blake era. He'd been through a lot. And the first guy I remembered holding the Orange Bowl trophy, he comes walking through the hotel lobby. And I'm telling you, he was king of the castle, man. And he was living it up. Fans were eating it up. And he's getting the crowd involved, doing this. Even, you see that a lot, Myron. Even when OU's not playing Texas. Danielle, I know you've seen it. Fans do this. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard not to see it. I feel like you're seeing it everywhere. I mean, even the Jay French, she had it on her shirt. And Josh Norman cracked me up because he just, I'm going to be petty, pulls that out. And then it was funny because he stopped answering that question, just put his hand down and then put it back up like, oh, wait, we're still talking about this game. So let me put the horns down back up. So it was really funny. But what's interesting is how different times have changed because as we talked about before, if you show horns down now, that's going to cost you about 15 yards. So it's a lot different now than it was back when Josh Norman played. But as Curtis mentioned, this will never die with fans. It's still going to be a thing forever as long as this rivalry stands. But as we heard earlier this week from Lincoln Riley and Kenneth Murray, they know they don't want to do this. Lincoln Riley says his team won't do this because he knows it'll cost them.
Yeah, we won't. Our players won't do it. So our players won't do it. Just like the Big 12 game.
I mean, obviously we know about the recent things with the horns down thing, and so for us as a team, that's really none of that's our focus because we know at the end of the day, doing stuff like that is going to hurt us as a team. And so at the end of the day, the only thing that matters to us is winning this ball game. And so if that's going to hurt us as a team, then that's not going to be done.
Plain and simple, don't want to cost your team anything in a game like this when everything matters.
No doubt, and I think the big deal is that starting tackles for Oklahoma questionable. Well, they are going through pregame warm-ups right now. We'll see if they play. Give me a prediction, Curtis.
I got OU winning a high-scoring game, 42-40.
I got OU winning a high-scoring game, 45-42. Danielle, what you got?
I got OU winning 42-35, even though I think they could maybe win by 2 touchdowns, depending on how this goes. I was really debating on it. I have a lot of faith in the Sooners offense. So we're going to check in with Brian Bosworth to see what he had to say about his prediction.
It's probably going to be 48-38.
48-38, that's
Everybody's
pretty...
got a lot of points.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a lot of points. Hey, that's going to do it. We're on right after the game with our post-game show. Right now, let's join the Fox National broadcast.